Hello and welcome back to today's personal finance show here on Dublin City FM with me, Paul Merriman from askpaul.ie. Okay, before the break, I told you about a really cool guest in studio. It's Ian Jackson Ryan from Woodfire Wings. Ian, you're very welcome to the studio.
Yeah, thanks a million,
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming in. Ian, so can we just go back to the very beginning of this story? We met each other recently. Obviously, I'd heard of Woodfire Wings. It's up the road from us here in Stillorgan. We actually had all the staff in with you guys the other day, celebrating the end of Q2.
Yeah.
Food's phenomenal. It was a great atmosphere in Stillorgan. I didn't realise till I met you about how this story started in Clondalkin, which now has a restaurant, and how big this business has got in such a short period of time. Let's go back to the beginning of your career, even before we get into, because what we want to use this segment of the show for is to try and encourage other entrepreneurs to be able to be thinking to get into the business. So can you bring us through your journey?
My own journey,
Yeah, before we get to Woodfire Wings, what did you start out doing and how did you get there?
Yeah, just in school, normal. Wasn't anything special in school, you know. Went in to do culinary arts by chance. 4 years culinary arts degree. Was very good at cooking. Kind of always had an ambition to maybe someday open up something and kind of work for myself. But when I finished college, 3 months later, I got an opportunity to take over a franchise within a local sports and social club.
That was the Roadstone Club.
The Roadstone,
Very good.
Which I had already experienced in working in because I was kind of like a part-time bartender through college, and
very good.
You know, and yeah, just got a bit of luck. Bernard there was my boss at the time and gave me an opportunity to just do kind of like a carvery setup over a weekend, and that just grew legs. Got offered a franchise at 20 years of age. No business experience, no idea on how to run a business, but I knew how to cook. I knew how to talk to people and communicate, and that's kind of like what got me through that kind of challenge, you know. So yeah, that went really well. Had it for 6 years, funny enough, up until COVID. But Woodfire came before that. Yeah. So ended up meeting Rory, my business partner, and
Rory Borges.
Through taking over the franchise within the pub in Clondalkin, Boomers. It was previously known as Boomers, his family pub. And a few months into that, going well, and we just got great connection with him, you know, really good. And we decided to take a chance and open Woodfire Wings.
And that was to the side of what the pub was, which was an old Chinese. I know the area.
Well, you had an old Chinese unit in that kind of on that strip, and the restaurant upstairs, and it was shut when I started. I was working in this big, huge kitchen in the back with like lots of equipment, and I was doing a small operation in the pub. And I just said to Roy, I was like, what's the story here? Like, you know, what's going on with all this guys? And he was telling me about all his past experiences in restaurants, and he had a bistro there, and I said, well, would you like to do something with it? Because I'm thinking in my head, so at the time I had Roadstone still had the pub, the franchise in the pub, so I had 2 businesses going, myself independently.
And what age are you at this stage?
23, yeah. And so 24 then, we thought of the idea of Woodfire Wings. I was selling a lot of chicken wings at the time.
Through the pub?
Yeah, through the pub. And Clondalkin was missing kind of high-end takeaway style food. There was no Woodfire pizza in the area. So yeah, that's where the idea came from in terms of doing pizza and wings as a combination. And we specialised in both of them, and that's all we kind of done. So anyway, we got open in that old Chinese unit, and it was only a takeaway at the start. We had 8 seats, 8 staff, 7 days a week. I was still working as a chef hands-on in the other 2 restaurants, and Woodfire was kind of just like the little side hustle, as you'd call it, you know. And it was doing okay. Yeah, it was holding its own, and it was a really cool brand and a cool concept, and we had 3 or 4 delivery drivers.
And the marketing was quite good as well, the branding and everything from day one.
We actually invested like kind of nearly all our budget on that fit out on the branding, because we dealt with a really good company, As Good As Gold, based in Bray, or Wicklow I think it is, and they done a really good package for us. Logos are very good, font, colours, the whole thing was just well packaged.
Yeah, and it looked like that premium brand, I suppose.
I think that's what we were always trying to do, And we wanted to keep the food kind of higher end takeaway, that it was kind of like a restaurant feel to when you get your takeaway, so branded packaging, all that type of stuff, you know. And it was kind of unheard of where we were in that area. So yeah, then COVID hit. So I closed the Roadstone, closed the pub, and Woodfire exploded. So me and Rory were then, he was obviously still very hands-on in the pub, dealing with all the day-to-day stuff in the pub. I was hands-on in Roadstone, because that was still the main business for me at the time. It was phenomenal, like what I had done there. I was personal chef for Shamrock Rovers for first team and doing personal meals for them, and I had an outside catering company in that premises. So I was kind of upset when that shut.
Right.
Because it was kind of, like I built it from nothing, like so young, and you know. But anyway, kind of, I thought like, yeah, 2 weeks, this is great, I'll be back in 2 weeks, but sure, that didn't happen. Woodfire exploded. We went from 3 delivery drivers to 20 in like 2 weeks. We were doing 400 or 500 orders a night.
Wow.
And me and Roddy were just hands-on in that shop for months, like, and years really. And on the back of that, we turned the old function room upstairs right above it into a sit-down version. Because one day during COVID, we went up and we were having food, pizza and wings, and we were getting haircuts up there during COVID. And
it's okay to say that.
Yeah, we can say it's fine. Me and Ori got a couple of haircuts up there, and we were like, Jesus, when you have the pizza so fresh out of the oven, like, it's a different game altogether.
Oh, rather than take away.
Yeah, 30 seconds. It was on a plate at the time, and we were just eating upstairs. Like, geez, we have to do something up here. And because we had the control of the building, and you know, we just started painting it then ourselves the following Monday. I got a couple of guys in furniture, and this was still during this is the height of COVID, because it was still lockdown. So I don't know if you remember the 2020 Christmas time where we were allowed for 2 weeks at that time. So we were kind of ready to go then. And the restaurant was, so we launched it, and we got 13 days out. We had a full bar team, cocktail menu, we had the screens all up, football was on. And we had 2 great weeks, and we were hands-on in that restaurant, working away. And the takeaway was still busy. So it was all coming out of the same oven, and the food was going both ways. So it was hectic. But it was great, because I just loved the buzz of it, you know.
Yeah.
And then we shut for 6 months. But all the restaurant staff we kept on, and they worked in the takeaway with us. We were doing takeaway points and cocktails and all that type of stuff that was going on. And we just felt like we had something clicked with the brand, with the offering, with the product. People were buying into it, they loved it. Consistency over everything for us, and standards, we never dropped them. I think on our day, we're still unmatched. It's just trying to be as consistent as you can all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem with growing. And
I think meeting you and Rory together as well, yourself and Rory have a really good connection. Obviously, you mentioned this already. So having a, I'm going to say the word wingman without having a pump or wings. But anyway, having a good wingman, have someone beside you that you connected it from day one.
The trust is
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
The haircut thing and say, we should do this. Yeah, we should do this. Yeah. I find that partnership works so well in the beginning of businesses. Obviously, it can go a disaster if you don't get on and blah, blah, blah. But when it kind of naturally happens well, when you're working together first and then it progresses.
And now and look, it's more of a friendship now than that.
They're usually the most successful partnerships.
Yeah, it is. And we had our luck along the way as well, And we're kind of I'm a risk taker. Like, I've just always kind of said, to stuff figured out later kind of thing. And now as you get bigger, you can't really make them kind of decisions. It's up, you have to think about stuff. And, because like so I've grown from obviously 2014 when I started to now, like, of 150 employees.
Yeah.
Production kitchen, 4 restaurants. Now we've taken over the pub, which was Boomers, which is now rebranded as Broadway, and that's a completely different concept.
I was just going to say this. I was in Broadway last week with you, and I was sitting there going, I can't believe I'm in Boomers. I remember Boomers from when I was a kid. And obviously Clondalkin, I'm originally from Tala as well, so there's nothing slight against Clondalkin. But like even Tala, it's just progressed so much in the last couple of decades compared to where it was, and that there would have been more trouble in that area 20, 30 years ago. There's no trouble now. It's the same, probably for most parts of Tala as well. So, but it was sitting in as like you might as well have been in the Ivy restaurant. Like the place is unbelievable.
Yeah, the vibe. I mean, we go mad on fit out. So one thing with us, we love high standards, high fit out. Now it's just about backing it up with kind of marketing and service, and that's where, on hospitality side, that's where we're going to spend all our time now. And we've a really good team, like across the company, everywhere. All the managers holding their own. Everywhere is kind of self-sustained as well. They're all performing well, which is great. It's just about keeping on top of it all the time, staying relevant, being creative. And look, I'm from Clondalkin, so proud Clondalkin man.
Yeah.
We've created 100 jobs in that building alone, between Woodfire, through the off license, through the pub, and the restaurant upstairs. And you don't see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I think that's next for us now on the marketing strategy, is go behind the scenes with stuff, show people what we're actually doing, because it's not just about getting your pizza. Like, that's made in a central production kitchen in Tala. The dough was 72 hours in the fridge. We've a van driver of 2 vans. And like, it's just snowballing.
It's all that stuff I find even. I remember speaking to you about this, as we've gone about 180 staff, and we've done it pretty much, probably the same time frame, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, everyone sees this part of our business, but it's that the employment, the PAYE tax you're paying, or the PRSI tax, the corporation tax, the employment, the hard graft that goes into it. Because even me arriving into Broadway, it was like, oh yeah, this place is so, I don't know anything about what it was beforehand, really, or the work and the graft that gets it to where it is.
But even like that's only all possible because of the Woodfire success. Yeah. Do you know how we were even how we acquired the pub and how we had the contacts to do it. We have a great team of guys.
You had the cash flow there as well, which is really important.
And yeah, like we just have the right amount of recklessness, is what I'm always told, Michelle. You know, it's but now I think when you look at it, it's everything we do now has to be like the pub was amazing to acquire through, and it's one company now, and that whole building is just clockwork now. Yeah. 2 different restaurants in terms of menus and 2 different teams of chefs and.
So the venues you have then is the Clondalkin restaurant, obviously, and you have Woodfire Wings and Dalkin, and then you have Stillorgan.
That's restaurant and takeaway, which has been so good for us as well. Yeah. You know, completely different area and demographic to what we're doing in Clondalkin, but it works. So that's why we kind of have the confidence that it should work anywhere, really. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, it's repeatable.
Prices are the same. There's nothing different. Menus the exact same. Staff are the same. They're cross-trained, so it's not like we're coming out here and.
And I will say the staff are brilliant. I'm not just saying that because you're in studio. The other day we were up there with all the staff, and there was nearly 40 odd of us up there. Service, food was class, everything was out quickly, staff are lovely. So and I think that's the hard thing to do on the hospitality, is getting the staff that, you know, they want to be there. They're kind of...
It's a cultural thing, I think.
It's a cultural thing.
And we're trying to work on that because it's me and Rory can't be everywhere, you know, and we're so genuine what we do, and like I'll do anything on any given day. I'll drive the van, I'll do KP, I'll do whatever it is just to get through the day. I've done it all before. Had some mad nights, you know, honest to God, you wouldn't believe what we've been through. And I think just over 10, 12 years working for yourself, building restaurants, dealing with people every day, you just nearly become immune to the problems. There's no problem now that's too big. Everything will just get sorted at the end of the day, you know. That's like one bit of advice I'd give to people, is just that, you know, there's no problem that's too big. At the start of my journey, anything would have been a problem. Chef calling in sick, a delivery late, I'd have lost my head. But now I'm just like, we'll deal with it. Don't worry. What's the worst that can happen? Do you know, really? Yeah,
I think that's really good advice. I was going to move into what your top 3 tips for business owners, especially in the hospitality sector, as opposed for those who might be interested in getting into it to learn from it. But no problem is really, you do catastrophize when you're starting off, and you think everything's going to knock you back and everything's going to come off. The only thing I will say though is, I'm not... That you mentioned the recklessness and the right amount of recklessness and those the hard yards, the late nights, the kind of doing everything. Yeah. Do you miss that piece? Because I kind of do myself.
I mean,
I think it's so structured now.
Journey.
Which is the journey. And I always say this when I'm doing other people's podcasts, I'm talking about business. I always say that I regret not realising I was on a journey. Yeah. And now I look back on, that was class. I remember our old office up in Sandyford. There was only 4 or 5 of us, and I'm not going to say they were the best days business-wise, but they were really stressful and nightmare. But there was just something. It may have been looking back with rose-tinted glasses, but it was in the making of what
the journey is the best part of it.
Yeah, the journey is part of it.
I'm still on the journey, but the good days of maybe that we were breaking records every week, you know, and like.
Even painting the upstairs of the pub.
Oh, we done the restaurant. Yeah, well, even the pub, we were like in January, February, March, just gone. Like, sure, I was there every night, hoovering, sweeping, mopping floors, keeping the builders clean, just to speed up the process. Because clean environment, just, you know, better vibe for everybody. But yeah, the journey, that's the best part. And then you finish a project that kind of feel flat and just you're unmotivated then for a while, and you're just trying to grow it then with a team of. I just love the buzz of it, like more so than actually the day to day now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, the journey, like I had to go, like my uncle was a big part of that, who passed away last year, and he was operationally for us. So it's been a challenge. He died the same week my son was born, my first son, first kid, like. And that was a challenge. So now it's different challenges that I'm dealing with now, more so, you know. So he was a big loss for us in the company, and me and Rory are still kind of trying to come to terms with him not being around. You're still expecting him to walk in, and he'd do anything for you. He'd hang shelves, he'd be dealing with drivers, loved customers. So yeah, he was a big loss, and that's the kind of stuff you have to overcome in business. You have to get up, and you don't shut. You know,
have to keep going
every single day and like that's another like piece of advice we were saying. Like, I don't know if entrepreneurs or people looking to get into business want to listen to my advice, but like you don't look at the clock. It's dogged, like it's 70-hour weeks, and that is the reality of it. It's not all But there's no work-life balance.
No, there's
none.
No, there's none. And I actually seen this thing with Jeff. I think it was Jeff Beals recently, where he was saying there's no such thing as work-life balance. Like it just doesn't exist.
No.
You have to love your work and love your business and love your in our case, or my case, my wife, my kids, in your case, your kids as well, and the missus. So you have to love all that, and it all just gets snowballed into one.
Yeah.
Because I went down a journey a few years ago, and hiring people and working with people trying to find this work-life balance. And you're kind of go, it's absolute not. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. No matter what you do, it just doesn't exist. Okay, bigger now. Like if I go on holidays, I know I have a really big management team. There's like 12 on my executive management team now, and it can run like clockwork without me. So I can actually kind of go away. I'll check in the odd email and phone. When I was going away 4 or 5 years ago, I was on the phone every day on emails, and I was still kind of operationally running everything and signing off on loads of things with holidays. Now it's not. So, okay, it gets a little bit easier to step away. Still consumes me every single evening before I go to bed. The last thing you're thinking about was probably the company. You wake up first thing in the morning. What are we doing work-wise today? What's on? So it does consume you.
Well, look, that's my favourite time of the day is kind of 11 or 12 o'clock at night when I know everywhere's nearly locked up. Do you know? And I can like breathe and have a shower, and I was like, yeah. Everyone's in bed now, and I'm like, grand, that's my hour to a piece.
Yeah, you see,
because the minute I wake up, there's 100 WhatsApps, there's emails, there's problems every day, there's always stuff going on. Bad stuff happens every single day.
Best time for me is Christmas time, because we close the investment companies, life insurance companies, banks typically close. All the staff are away, all the clients are away, and that break at Christmas is just, it's just heaven. Yeah. Because like you said, you wake up to WhatsApps, you wake up to text. Like last time I was in the house, and it was like 9:30, a client rang me on. My offer was accepted, what do I do next on a property? He's a really good client of ours, and he was just panicking because he doesn't know the process, but still on the phone for half. Now I don't mind, I love that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's just that same thing of being always on.
But like in terms of holidays and last kind of whatever 10, 11 years, I'm with the missus and the lads, I'd be the one that have holidays booked, and I wouldn't go the day before I'd cancel. The day of I'd cancel, and I'd go to work. And that's kind of...
That's a sacrifice.
That's the sacrifice you make, you know. Now, look, I'm with Kira since I'm 17. Literally the first week I started studying to be a chef, I met her, so she's kind of known nothing else.
Yeah.
If I hadn't, I'm around a little bit more now, obviously since which one came along. But yeah, that whole journey, all my 20s, kind of sacrificed late nights, up in Woodfire when I was 25.
You have to do it though.
25, and it was hectic, you know.
Do you know, I love the conversation you just had. You've mentioned an awful lot of people, obviously your uncle first, but obviously Bernard here saying gave you that kind of opportunity.
I always think back to Bernard, and like I'll probably text him after this and say, look, listen.
You should do, because everyone needs that one. I believe that breaker, that person, that trust in you, and that trust from 21 or whatever age you're coming out of college. That's setting up. Although you said you had no business acumen, you're going to just learn on the job.
I look, I got a bit of luck. The kitchen was kind of half set up. There was an oven that worked, a stove, there was a few tables, a sink. I called me mate, Chucky's his name, and I said, look, I have a gig the weekend, 100 dinners. There's a dog grooming show on in the hall, roast beef or whatever it is. Come up and do it with me. Yeah, we'll have a bit of crack. And it was great. We spent like 3 days cleaning the kitchen. Done it. That was a Saturday. And then after that, Bernard said, do you want to open tomorrow? If you have any food left, or if you want to do something, just open a carvery. And it was a busy place, like. Yeah. And the lads had just left that were there before me.
I remember when my auntie and uncle, Harry and Jackie actually live at the same state. They grew up, obviously, and I know a couple of my cousins. But I remember they having their parties up in the road.
Yeah, that's right,
Anything, all the family that moved.
So all that type of stuff was coming then. Like the week after was like finger food needed, and then there was a funeral, and I was like, I was just doing all that then naturally. And then it got legal then, and I got a lease, and then I had to pay rent, and
so you learned on the job, really.
Learned on the
time
job.
to do with something.
Got my first VAT return, and I rang the account saying, what's all this? Don't I VAT? Like, don't I have VAT or claim against? Well, how does all this work? And like the stuff, I've just learned it all organically nearly. Like you're not taught that stuff in college. I'm taught how to cook and maybe get a margin on a certain item, but that was it. Like, have my mum working for me. She runs the production kitchen for me.
But I love that. I think for anyone listening from an entrepreneur point of view, what I've taken from the interview today from you, from a businessman point of view, is that you're obviously being exceptionally successful. The jobs you've created, the turnover of the business, the tax, everything you've contributed back into wider society, but also local and Clondalkin, where you're from, is quite good. But like I said, you mentioned Bernard, you mentioned Uncle, you mentioned your relationship with Rory, how he's clicked, how he's carried on. Your mum now, your girlfriend, your missus has been with you from day one, and I think that's what makes a success. Because no matter
it's not the numbers I'm chasing. It's it's relationships, it's the growth. It's seeing, we've fed Clondalkin's over 6 years trading now, and it's mad when you think about like we have between the takeaway and the restaurant, roughly, like we're trying to ballpark it between average spends and all that, about 1.4 million people in that location alone. I showed you the shop last week. The oven is like half the size of this room.
Yeah.
And we fed 1.4 million people.
Yeah, that's nice. What would 21-year-old Ian think of this?
Yeah, like it was never, no, it was never part of the plan. No. And like,
You'll always be ridiculously proud of
one location, and you know, that's what it was for a long time. And then sometimes you're thinking, geez, if I only had the one location, me and Roy could work a 3-day week and have a better balance. But like, what's the fun in that?
What's the fun of that? Yeah,
you know,
have
I feel like that with Woodfire, we've just clicked with something, and we've obviously, like every week, different offers come across your way, and we can grow it nationally if we want, and that's maybe the plan. But we just have to structure it a little bit better. We're trying to systemize it all now over the next 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
We're working with a couple of business consultants and franchise specialists, even if we're not going to franchise it, but just to have the pack and the manual there. Operations manager now on board with us. First time ever we've hired one of them.
So I'll hope you
Jason, he's doing really well. It's the second week with us now. So just kind of delegating a little bit more, and not trying to enjoy it, but you know, not being the weeds all the time, and dealing with every single issue yourself all the time, you know. So managers have to be accountable, and we want to continue to grow 100%.
Yeah, which is great. Ian, I absolutely loved that interview. I think it was amazing. Congratulations to you and Rory on the success of the business to date. Wishing you all the very, very best for the future. I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
I can think what you've done in Clondalkin is amazing, even locally here in Stillorgan. I do think it's a model that can be lifted and shifted anywhere, considering all the expertise that you've brought into it in such a short period of time.